Welcome to ZKast, everyone. I'm Kerravala from ZK Research, and I'm here in Las Vegas at CES. I'm inside the West Expo Hall in the AWS stand. I'm with Alex Lennick. Alex, it's been about a year since we caught up.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and so as long as I've known you, you've been running the automotive and manufacturing verticals. I like coming to your stand here because it always shows the latest and greatest in automotive. And why don't we just start there? What's new for Amazon in this area?
I mean, I would say this year what we see is a lot. Obviously, agentic AI is a big topic. I mean, we have it built for automotive AI. I think this is something we really see is having a big uptick in different areas when it comes to in-vehicle experiences. We have a demo out there when it comes to custom assistance, when it's coming to the driving assistance, like helping with like the autonomous part of it, but then it's also going over into manufacturing. And one thing we really want to like showcase this year is the Pan Amazon story, right? Like when you're looking at some of our customers, some big OEMs, but also the end customers, they're looking at us and say, okay, I'm happy to have seen what I have gotten from AWS, but how does it fit to the bigger picture? And so this is why we also have on this booth, we have from Amazon Shopping, where you can basically buy through dealerships vehicles on the Amazon platform. And then also our satellite, our Amazon Leo offering is part of it.
So let's touch on those one by one. First of all, give me a state of the industry here. I think if you're a casual observer to the automotive industry, you would have been at CES maybe a decade ago, and people were talking about level 5 self-driving, right? And we haven't delivered that yet. And and so I think as a casual observer, a lot of people I've talked to seem to think that there hasn't been a lot of innovation in EVs and auto. And so how do you respond to that?
I mean, I would say yes, the industry was very bold maybe 6 years ago, 7 years ago when it came to level 5 autonomous. And then over time, they realized it's a harder problem to solve than originally expected. But there has been a ton of innovation, right? Like we just talked about the Aurora announcement that we did this morning together with what used to be Continental Automotive, now Aumovio. Aumovio is building the hardware. Aurora is building the Aurora driver, basically level 4 trucking.
So that's not quite fully autonomous, but
it's basically point to point, right? Like so basically you start on a highway, you end on a highway. That's kind of like where the level 4 is usually being defined. So it is autonomous. They don't have a person sitting behind the wheel, but it's not in all scenarios. But for these cases, and then you're looking into, for example, like I said, the custom assistant, right? Like we had custom assistants for quite some time in the vehicles, but they're coming more and more conversational. They're being more integrated. Like I think where we also see, and this is a little bit in the hidden part of this booth, where we're showcasing how is this actually being developed, right? Like so. Having something in the car is one thing, but then making it available to thousands of developers to quickly iterate and create new software and create these new technologies. I think there has been, like I said, it's maybe not the bold moves that were expected years ago, but over the years, like tremendous increase in safety.
And to me, that's the key, right? Cars are so much safer today than they were before. And also it's a lot lower cost to deliver some of these capabilities, right?
And a lot faster. I think that's where we see, like if you have like some years ago, we had still cycles of like 6 to 7 years for designing and until a car hits the manufacturing. Now we're really down to 3, right? Like so that's a big increase over a short amount of time. So we see the automotive industry has invested a lot of time and money into becoming more relevant for customers and really like adapting these new technologies in a better way.
And the example you gave with the trucking company, to me, that's really the low-hanging fruit of level 4, right? Is you think about trucking challenges. Drivers can only work 8 hours. So these long-haul shipments take a long time. Now they can run all night, and at least as long as the battery lasts, and you don't have the fatigue that drivers are, nor the accidents, and so it's safer. And so to talk about the cockpit integration with Alexa, what are some of the use cases you see there?
So it can get started. So I would say the big difference is, first of all, we had Alexa in vehicles for quite some time. Now it's getting way more conversational, right? Like before you have to your keywords that you were saying in order to, I don't know, change some settings in the car. Now you can go in and say, oh, I'm feeling a little bit cold and I would like to go to the Sphere today. Show me a good route where I can see the strip, right? Like it's getting conversational. The assistant understands what you want. It's integrated with the systems in the car, the mapping, and is then using all of this in order to provide you the experience that you want. So I think this is a big change that we are seeing. We also see more integration with other technologies. Like in this case, Alexa, right? It could integrate with your home system. Say, did I leave my porch light on? And it gives you an answer. But then really like what is all, when we boil it down from a technology perspective, what this boils down to is agentic AI, right? You have agents that can run in the car and that is doing tasks for you or is connecting to other pieces. And I think that's one of the big topics and where we see a lot of interest from the industry to build that. And AWS is basically doing this, building the infrastructure for years, and now we're really seeing this happening in vehicles, in the back end, and it's really becoming available to the customers.
Yeah, I can envision a day when you're driving, it's like almost having like a co-pilot with you, where maybe you would ask somebody local questions about sites to see or things, place to eat or whatever, and now it can just do that for you, right?
Yeah.
So
and this has been available before, right? Like you always had like your points of interest on maps, but it's
but it was pretty clunky.
Yeah, how much did you use it, right? Like I'm personally in my vehicle, I'm never using the voice assistant that I have right now, because it was just like too hard to do it, and now it's really becoming accessible. And I think
honestly, when I use those points of interest, I can never find the things I want to find. If you didn't know exactly what it's called or whatever, even like local golf courses and things I couldn't find, but if I can just talk to it now.
Exactly. Gives you some options. You say, I would rather go this or like that. But it's really becoming this personal assistant that it's supposed to be.
Yes. And really that's because of the rise of, it's become a true edge server, right? It's the distinction between physical AI and autos is non-existent. It's really part and parcel of the same thing.
Yeah, it's growing together, and then again, like if you're looking into the also in the automotive industry, right? Like you mentioned physical AI, where we're seeing there's a lot of happening is then in the non-visible part in the manufacturing, right? Like where you also it's very labor intensive still, but you also have a shortage of labor.
Yeah.
So how do you make sure that cars being produced? And this is where more robotics comes into play, and which is also, of course, from an Amazon perspective. I mean, if you're thinking about like we, not AWS, but as Amazon as a bigger business, in our warehouses, we are investing more and more into robots in order to also, when we have labor shortage, to make sure we can use robots more in a sense that where humans had to jump in the past. And I think these learnings now being able to be transferred in the automotive industry, in the manufacturing industry, this is where it's quite interesting, right?
Yeah, and in fact, I think you bring up an interesting point in the warehouses where I think there's a lot of concern about AI taking jobs, but when I talk to people that work in warehouses, they can't staff them fast enough. And so there's always a labor shortage there, right? And so if AI can close that labor shortage, that actually is a big win.
Yeah.
So,
especially when we talk to our automotive partners and customers, this is where they really say, okay, we have issues that we can get the skilled labor in some of our factories, and we need to find an alternative for that. Or it's a combination of, right? Like you don't want to have like some of the tasks that might be very hard for humans to do and maybe are straining, and you can augment this with more technology. This is also very helpful.
Now, one of the things you brought to market last year was the ability to buy cars on Amazon.com in a partnership with Hyundai.
Yeah.
Right. And I guess what was the impetus behind that, and talk about that a little bit.
So and we also have a demo on this, and we can talk about it. But it's in general. So maybe just first of all, Amazon is not selling cars, right?
Yes.
Basically, it's a funnel for dealers to present their vehicles and to showcase them on the website. And a lot of the processes that you would do in the dealership. I mean, we had customers who were like spending all their Saturday in a dealership in order to get through the process of configuring.
Oh, I've done that before.
Yeah, and now they're doing it on a Friday evening from the couch.
Yeah.
Go the next day to the dealership, still get the walkthrough from like the direct point, but they already like are pre-approved for their credit line. Again, like this is not something that Amazon is kind of like taking over. It's just like helping the dealer to go through that process with their current
credit approval, things
credit
like that,
approval, financing, and so on. Just streamlining the process down from hours or a day down to maybe 45 minutes at the dealership, where they basically let you test drive, you sign, and you take the car with you.
Yeah. Well, what gets me is even if you're willing to pay cash, you're still 3-4 hours in the dealership. So anything you can do to save time on that, people will greatly appreciate. Yeah. And right. And so, and I think last year here you actually showed credit approval and things, right? Or loan purchasing through Amazon.com. If I'm,
I don't.
Yeah. I think it was something like that. So it's good to see advancement there. Now in our prep, you also mentioned Kuiper, or Leo, I guess it's called,
Leo,
integration
exactly.
as well. And what have you been doing there? Because that's the low Earth orbit connectivity. I think we've all been waiting for that to get some better bandwidth. Because I think what we have now is taken about as far as we can.
Yeah. So it's still in a planning phase, or like in a to become phase. We can go to the colleagues there and they can speak deeper about this, because I'm AWS there from the Amazon business. But from an AWS perspective, I would say where we see a lot of our customers have interest is, one use case is pretty obvious, is like in vehicle, right? Like if you find a way in how to attach an antenna from Leo in the vehicle, it can help you with connectivity, especially in remote areas. But then other areas, when you think about factories, right? Like I want to have a factory always connected, because if the internet connection breaks, the factory might stop. So maybe there's an opportunity to have at least a backup line with Leo. Or you're thinking about like remote outposts for test drives, where you're collecting a lot of data and you need to ship it to a central data center. That could be also an opportunity to really like tap into the satellite system in order to solve these kind of use cases.
All right. Yeah, that's good to see. In fact, that is something that I think you can bring to almost anything that moves now, right?
Yeah. A lot of interest if you're thinking about like automotive a little bit wider, right? Like if you think of like farming and like mining and all of this, I think this is where also a lot of interest in.
Yeah, well, I think anything where safety is an issue, and it seems to be an obvious use case for that. In fact, I think in Jensen's keynote, he talked about physical AI, and it's really anything that moves will eventually be autonomous, right? And so that needs network connectivity to work. So.
Yeah, and we also have a demo with NVIDIA out here, because also a lot of the NVIDIA technology, actually our customers are basically using AWS infrastructure to deploy NVIDIA technology on top of that, and then train their models. And
I think it's been said nobody runs more NVIDIA workloads than AWS. So yeah. All right. So we had update on safety, the level 4 trucks, manufacturing, low Earth orbit. Anything else you want to touch on?
No, I mean, maybe we can take a look at the demos. I think it's some of the, it's one thing I wanted to mention with the custom assistant. Sometimes it's so intuitive that you don't even think about it. But I mean, I don't know how it's about you. I rent a lot of cars, and I would love to have, when I'm entering a car, someone who's like explaining the car to me. That's one of the use cases we're showing. Yeah. Right. Like you're coming in and someone just helps you go through there. He asks you what is your preferred settings and just like sets it up for you. And it's like the simple things that really will change.
The first time actually I rented a Tesla, I didn't even know how to open the car door or start it, right? And so because if you don't have the app loaded, you've got to actually put the card beside the doorpost and things, and that would actually be a really good use case. To just walk you through, and every car is set up a little bit differently. Yeah, exactly. Even just trying to find, where certain controls are, how to use the nav system. Does it have CarPlay? Does it not? Yeah. Things like that can be very confusing to people.
Or the prior user is configured a certain way, right? Do you want lane keeping assistant on or off? Like things like this. When the car is just walking you through after you enter, that's like it's pretty.
Yeah, actually, that's a good use case for that, because a lot of the safety features you want on, sometimes are. The last driver may have turned them off or whatever, and you want to make sure that's a good point. So yeah, well, I'm glad you're to see and I think my main takeaway here is just that there continues to be tremendous innovation year over year on this journey toward level 5, whenever we'll have it. But I think along the way we've become much better, safer drivers. And if you look at the car today, between automatic stopping, lane change alert, adaptive cruise control, things like that. It's just even things like adaptive high beams, so you're not blinded to the drivers. Just a car today is leap years ahead of safety of one even built 5 years ago.
And to be honest, I think it will speed up even more, right? Like as we're seeing, I think last year at CES we talked a little bit about the virtual ECUs and how basically virtual can be used, and this is becoming really now mainstream. Like we showed it with Continental, now our Movio there, but the VECU, now the demo we have right here is based on Panasonic. Right, like, and we also have another demo there where we have basically the physical hardware that's out there in a virtualized environment, and you can like spin it up like 1,000 times for all of your developer. Everyone is developing on the virtual hardware, and like again, imagine the kind of speed you're gaining.
Well, you're actually creating a digital twin.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, that's and even with car design and how wind flows over it. In fact, one of the interesting ahas I had in this industry came from the Austin F1 event, which I was there with Amazon, and they talked about how the latest iteration of the car was the first time they designed it using digital twins in a wind tunnel, so they could actually figure out how airflow flows around the car and affects the one behind it, where before you really couldn't do that. Right, so you tweak things and try them out, and they worked or they didn't work, but to redesign a car was a huge expense. Now you can run like 1 million simulations at no time. And even I think you and I talked about this a couple of years ago too, where when you think about self-driving, the sensors at sunrise and sunset can weird things happen, right? And so, but to test that with a physical car, you'd only get maybe 5 minutes a day, right? So now you can actually hold the sun at the horizon line and run a million hours of driving, right? And so I think this whole concept of being able to leverage the power of the cloud and digital twins, you're right, it is going to allow us to evolve just so much faster. So.
And then to your point, right, like we talked about this 1 or 2 years ago. Now with the Aurora announcement, that's like someone who used it in order to train their existing production models for this. So I think that's a cool thing to see, right? Like in the past, like I said, you took 5 years maybe. Now it's like 1 to 2 years out. And again, like with the type of technology we're having, it's even speeding up more. Now we haven't even talked about coding assistants, which is like a huge topic for us, and it's also being more and more adopted by the industry. We brought out our coding assistant Kiro, which is like doing a spectrum development in order to do really like higher quality code in a very structured way. And we see a tremendous interest also from the automotive industry, because if you're thinking about it, like what is automotive if not a spec-driven industry, right? Like we're building a lot of specs in the beginning, and then you're like working on like putting them into code, putting them into physical items, and this is like becoming now more and more growing together, and is again increasing the speed there.
All right, Alex. Well, appreciate the update. I'm going to expect even more then at CES 2027.
Looking forward.
All right, and this one, Ad? Okay, well, always appreciate your time. So on behalf of Alex Lenk from Amazon, I'm Zeus Kerravala from ZK Research. Thanks for watching. As always, give us a like and hit that subscribe button. I'll see you next time on my next episode of ZKast.